Everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. If you guys want to take a seat, we'll be starting the presentation in just a few minutes. We've got a lot of great folks here from local agencies in the county to talk to you about scams and other services. So we'll be get the ball rolling. And I know some of you have already come up. We've got a lot of giveaways, brochures, and information up here. Okay, so again, thank you for having us, folks. My name is Michael Bannon. I am the director of the Bucks County Office of Consumer Protection in Doylestown. We also have an office in the Levittown Government Service Center with an investigator there. So we're here. I also have the honor of overseeing the Weights and Measures Department. I'm not going to talk about that today too much. But I will say we are out there inspecting gas stations, supermarkets on a regular basis to make sure when you buy a product, you're actually getting what you paid for. We do price verification for pricing accuracy in stores to make sure on the shelves the pricing is correct. That's why we have these giveaways today of measuring yardsticks for everybody, old school yardsticks. There you go. I figured you'd appreciate it. Okay, so thank you again, everybody, for coming. We have some speakers here today that I'll be introducing. We have Dakota Levy from the Senior Law Center. She'll be talking about some services that her agency does for senior citizens in Bucks County for free to be able to do, which is always a good thing. Crowley is with the NOVA, the Network of Victim Assistance. He handles whenever there's a crime victim that's been ripped off, stolen from, scammed from, which is one of telephone scams. His department and Liam typically deal with those kind of things. We work very, very closely with victims of these crimes. What we really want to do, though, is get ahead of these crimes and give you information to avoid being a victim of any of these scams or the crimes that are out there. Scam telephone calls, internet scams, all sorts of things are happening. But you have local resources from all these agencies here. I would also like to introduce and hand over to our first speaker, who is Fred Harran, the Bucks County Sheriff, has some interesting experiences to share. Fred Harran.
Can you guys hear me okay? Sorry, I'm from New York, so I learn to stream a lot. And the microphone will just really be a little too loud. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. How about now? Better? All right. All right. Man, it's the first time I use a microphone ever. Except a few more minutes, I was going to get up and start singing with the dancers up there. I used to do that before I was the sheriff. Then I had to get a real job because I wasn't making any money at it. But that's a story maybe for 5 o'clock when we come back at happy hour. So just like the Jenny Lee days, no? So, as Mike said, my name is Fred Harran. I'm the Bucks County Sheriff. I've been now in Bucks County for 38 years. I'm originally from New York City, and I came to Bucks County just after college, and this was just going to be a stop for me. I got a job as a police officer in Bensalem Township, where I spent 36 of those 38 years, and the last 16 of those years I was the police chief in Bensalem. But then I was afforded the opportunity to run in November of 21 for Bucks County Sheriff, and here I am. So in 2 years, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Sheriff's Office and what we do and what we can do for you. And then I know we don't have a lot of time. I think each of us are allotted like 6 or 7 minutes, and I just want to talk about really one scam that's hitting hard now in Bucks County. So I want to talk about that. But I think it's important that you know what the Sheriff's Office. Does anybody know what the Sheriff's Office does in Bucks County? Okay, I'm going to need more than 7 minutes then. No, I'm just kidding. So, Pennsylvania is a commonwealth. We're not a state, we're a commonwealth. There's 4 commonwealths in the United States. Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Virginia, and one you should know this Saturday coming up, Kentucky. Kentucky Derby. Kentucky is the 4th commonwealth. And really what the difference between a state and a commonwealth means, in a commonwealth, is all the authority goes to the lowest form of government. So here in Bristol Township, they have their own police department. So the sheriff's office does not handle 911 calls. So if you call 911, you're going to get the Bristol Township Police if you live in Bristol Township. If you live in Ben Salem, you get the Ben Salem Township Police. But what the sheriff's office does, we cover all the county and we assist local municipality in different forms of the criminal justice system. We move all the prisoners, we serve all the civil paperwork. Unfortunately, when the bank takes your house, that comes through my office. We deal with gun permits, and we deal with all the warrants in Bucks County, which are about 7,000 people now that are wanted for committing crimes and not showing up for court. And I know the district attorney, she's on her way. She got held up in Doylestown, and she'll talk a little bit more about the criminal justice system. But I think, for me, leaving municipal policing, it became very interesting what the role is of the sheriff's office. And we have officers out on patrol all over the county. We just started a K-9 unit. We were talking about our dogs. We just put officers in schools. And we're trying to branch out and do more and more things to assist the local law enforcement throughout Bucks County. And I think it's been a good mess so far, especially with all the stuff going on in the world right now, especially here in the United States. You can't put on the news. We were talking beforehand, and it's very upsetting. You see what's going on all throughout this great country, and the good news is we'll get through it and we'll continue to move on. But so we work every day with the local law enforcement to make sure that you're safe, to make sure that criminals aren't on the street, to make sure that you're protected. And the police officers, the 900 officers in the county, do an amazing job. And working with them so close, and for 38 years, I know that firsthand, especially here in Bristol Township. I just had recently moved. I lived in Ben Salem, and I moved to Bristol Borough. We now live in Bristol Borough, so this was great. I didn't have to go to the courthouse. I got to go after this. But it was literally a 7-minute drive from my house, so it was nice.
He was happy when we talked about coming in. He was like, oh yeah, I'm there. So.
I told Mike, I said, if I never have to go to the courthouse again, if I could just do this all day, it would be fantastic. And here's our district attorney now, Jen Schorn. So, so she'll be up in a few minutes. But the one scam, because I know everybody's going to talk about different things, I think is really, unfortunately, there's a lot of scams. But the one that's really plaguing us right now, and I know Jen's office is working with federal agencies on it, is that people are calling and posing as Bucks County sheriffs. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it affects my office directly. And they're telling you, in many cases, that you missed jury duty. And a lot of times you get a lot of mail every day, and sometimes the jury notices it could look like junk mail, and you might throw it out by accident. So they're playing on that. They're thinking you got rid of this notice that to appear in jury duty, and that a crime has been committed, and now there's a warrant out for your arrest. And that's what they're telling people. But this is where it gets unbelievably kind of crazy, is that they'll tell you if you pay via gift card over the phone, the warrant will be lifted. I can tell you we don't take gift cards as payments. If you have a warrant out for your arrest, the sheriffs will be coming to your house. We don't call you for gift cards, we don't call you for Apple Pay, or we don't ask you to Venmo us money. And that's what these criminals are doing. And unfortunately, they're so realistic. They're using real judges' names. They're using real deputies' names. They even spoof their phone numbers, so if you call back, it looks like you're calling the sheriff's office. So it's pretty amazing, the technology that we're facing. But I can tell you all, and if you don't have it, they're up here. I went around, because not everybody comes up to take the papers that are here. I left everybody my business card. You have my email. You have my personal cell phone number on there. So please, the only thing, and Mike's going to talk about calls, so if I don't have you in my cell phone, which I probably don't have you in my, I'll let it go to voicemail and then I'll call you back. So please leave a message and I'll call you back, because I just don't pick up calls if I don't really recognize the number. So I think that's important that you know that don't fall for any of the scams. You're all very, very smart folks. The other thing that I just want to tell you too, how many people here they go to the grocery store or they get gas, and you pay with your debit card, your ATM card? Stop. Do not do that anymore. Do not pay with your ATM card. So use your credit card. The big difference is the ATM is your money. People have direct access to your bank account. If you get scammed, you now have to fight with the bank to get your money back. If you use your credit card company, MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express, are all very good with this. It's their money, and you just what do they call it? You just challenge the charge, and they freeze it, and then most of the time they just give you the credit back. But if you go through your ATM, that's your cash. And it's hard to get that back. And many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, or you wait for checks to come in the mail or direct deposit or whatever it is at the end of the month. And most people don't have thousands and thousands of dollars extra that they can afford to take a $5,000 hit or a $1,000 hit or sometimes a $200 hit and waiting for that to clear. So please stop using your ATM card. And the only last thing I'm going to tell you, because I was a direct victim of this just recently, and Mike has heard the story a few times now, is I'm off of all social media with the exception of LinkedIn. And I'm cleaning up my LinkedIn. And I got my credit card, one of my credit cards got compromised 4 times in a row. And I called the credit card company, and this time I talked with somebody at length. And she started asking me my security questions again. And then I said, wait a minute. I never gave you these questions. I never answered these questions to begin with. Where are you getting these security questions? Oh, through social media, through the web. Where my home city was, what high school, what college, because you think only that person would know. So the bad guys and gals go on to your social media sites and they learn a lot about you. Now, I don't know what you're learning on Facebook. You might learn that you have grandkids, or that you have a job somewhere, or that you vacation, at the shore, you vacation. That's what you're learning from Facebook. But from places like LinkedIn, you're learning a lot of personal stuff. Colleges, jobs, education, places you lived. When it has your history of all your work and all that we put on LinkedIn when we're looking for jobs or we're sharing information in our field. So we've sanitized this stuff. The technology has far outweighed our capabilities, and the criminals are just as smart as we are. And they're learning how to use this stuff to take advantage of us. So I could literally go for about 2 more hours on scams, but I'm not going to, because we have incredible speakers. But I do want you to take advantage. I work for you. Now I get to work not just for the residents of Ben Salem, but I get to work for the residents of all of Bucks County, which I'm enjoying that. So please, you have my cell phone, you have my email. I answer emails all night long. That's probably the best way to get in contact with me. On the back of my business card is a QR code that will take you right to the sheriff's website, and you can get all kinds of information. You can find out information about other county agencies as well. So please take advantage of that. And I'll be here this morning, and when I'm not here, just give me a call, and I'll be happy to assist you in any way I can. Yes, ma'am. Oh, LinkedIn? LinkedIn is like a business Facebook, if you will. You know what Facebook is? And so it's for business. It's for people that are sharing information in their particular fields. You meet up with people that are in your businesses or in your same profession. You share information. It's just another it's like a business social media app. Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Mike.
Thank you, Fred. Good job, Fred. Thank you, Fred. Fred always has some really good information to share. If I could just comment on one, Fred talked about your debit card and paying and using your credit card, and that is excellent advice. You don't want to use the 4-number PIN if you can avoid it. If you're using a debit card, you want to use the just credit portion, but it's best if you can purchase on a credit card, if you're able to pay that credit card off at the end of the month and it doesn't accumulate debt. Some people have a problem paying off the credit cards and just kind of leave it there. So make sure you pay off the credit card if you're going to start using it that way, because you can get in trouble. But it's great advice. A lot of money taken because of debit cards from your savings account, so be leery of that. So having said that, I'm going to pass on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is the Bucks County District Attorney, Jen Schorn. Jen is dealing with all sorts of issues that I can't even imagine sometimes. So, she's dealing with some horrific things, but we're pleased to have her here today. She's always very supportive of any consumer protection laws. Our department works very close together. Ladies and gentlemen, Jen Schorn, our District Attorney.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, all of you. I love coming out to events like this. Sadly, all too often, I'm involved in things after a crime has occurred, and sometimes it's the most horrific crime. And that can be a drain. It really can be an emotional drain. But when I go to community events like this, especially with our seniors, I find that people are so engaged, and I also find I'm always in awe of how much information. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. how much information I learn from all of you. Inevitably, every time I leave an event, I have a new piece of information. We have phenomenal experts, and I'm always learning from the experts on these panels, but I promise you, citizens will provide information at these events that are so useful for the rest of us, and that's how, we stay ahead of the scams and frauds. So I'm going to talk a little bit about me for a moment and my role as district attorney. So I've been a prosecutor here in Bucks County, the county I grew up in, for 25 years. This summer will be my 25th anniversary. Matt Weintraub, who so many of us love and respect, became a judge on our bench. I was his first assistant, so I've been fortunate enough to assume the role as appointed district attorney. And I love the job. I love it. I still wake up every day saying I'm so fortunate to have a job I love. And ultimately, our goal is to make sure justice is served. And it's twofold. Obviously, it's prosecuting crimes that occurred, diverting low-level offenses that should be, but it's also preventative. It's getting word out on how to stay safe, and that's why we do events like these. So I have a quiz for you. How many police departments do you think are in Bucks County? Anybody want to guess? You can just shout out, or 15? Hi. Not quite 67. Somewhere in between 15 and 67. 33, close, 39. 39 police departments. And the reason I say that, in Bucks, it's shocking. I grew up in Bucks County, and I remember when I was a new assistant district attorney, we have an assistant district attorney on call 24/7. Citizen phone calls during the daytime and law enforcement calls at night. And I remember getting a call from a police officer in Springfield Township, and I said, Delaware County? And he goes, no. Montgomery County? He goes, no. There's a Springfield Township in Bucks County. So little did I know how big Bucks County was, even though it's my home county. And the reason I say that is that I have had the privilege of working over the last quarter century with all 39 police agencies in this county. And I can honestly say to you that you are very fortunate, because this is a county where the police still respond to reports of frauds and scams, and still take seriously crimes that may not be violent crimes. They may be either low-level felonies or serious misdemeanors, but they take them seriously, and they will investigate, and they will try to identify the perpetrator. So you really are very fortunate, but there's a key component, and what do you think that is? As far as, in order for them to do the job, what do we need people to do? That either have knowledge of, what did you say? Contact them and report them, report crimes. All too often, people feel embarrassed when they're victimized, and so I need to tell you, you should never feel embarrassed. I have been a prosecutor for 25 years. My husband is in law enforcement, and I kid you not, once a year, without fail, I click on something on Facebook when there's a promotion, whether it's the running shoes I love, or buy one get one free for a certain lotion, and it's an expensive lotion, and it's a really good deal. Click, click, click. Next thing you know, my husband has a fraud alert on our credit card that the card was, it was being routed through, Asia. And he's like, Jen, what did you do? And here, I fall prey to it. The point is that all of us can, and it will happen. Now, that might not be one that you need to report to our sheriff's point. I used a credit card. I can immediately report it, and I'm not out financial loss. But the point is, it's embarrassing. I should know better, but it happens to all of us. So at some point, if you fall prey to a fraud, please don't feel ashamed. Don't think it's, some indication of you not being smart or savvy. You have to report it. And even if, let's just say, it turns out that in Middletown Township, you report a fraud. I know we're in Bristol Township, I'll use Middletown for an example. And maybe they identify this perpetrator, and they believe the perpetrator's overseas, and they can't make an arrest. However, if then they have another report, and another report, and another report, that's information that their federal partners would want to know, because they do have a longer reach for international perpetrators, but also to realize we need to do what Bristol Township's doing. We need to do a community event to get the word out, to talk about this newest scam and fraud. So even if an arrest cannot be made, because often we have perpetrators who are overseas and they're banking on the fact that our resources will be limited, I promise you, your information is still so valuable. You know, it really is something we trust, and that's why we are in a great community, because more often than not, we have citizens who report crimes, they trust the process. So, any questions as it relates to that? No? All right, I'm gonna not steal anybody else's thunder, but I'll touch on a few things just that I live by to try to make myself less likely to be victimized. Who utilizes the U.S. postal mailboxes when they're paying checks and bills? Okay. Does anyone, you're someone who raised your hand at this table, do you drive to the post office or can you walk from where you live? Drive. And do you have, is it a freestanding box? Okay. So do you know if you walk in, is your postal service, is it open 24/7 if you go inside the building? It's not? Okay. So there are many facilities that are. We do occasionally see crimes where they're compromising the mailboxes. And it's essentially, it's not sophisticated at all. More often than not, it's a big stick with an adhesive glue, and they put it in, they pull it out. Oh, you have it glued. That's exactly. Yeah, that's literally how, it's not very sophisticated, but what they do is they pull it out, they sort through the mail, they identify any mail that has checks, and Mike, what do they do with the checks? Yep.
And they wash the checks, is what they end up doing, washing your signature or the number, the dollar amount on the check, and rewriting for themselves for a much larger.
That happened to me.
Did it happen?
And see, it's happening.
I sent a birthday card to my granddaughter in North Carolina.
Okay.
And they took the check out of the birthday card and tried to redo the amount and the date and everything. Lucky the post office picked up on it.
Yeah, so did everybody hear that? The post office caught it, but it was a birthday check for your granddaughter. I mean, you should feel safe in putting your mail in the U.S. Postal Service mailbox, but sadly, it can happen, and oftentimes it does not get caught until you see something's not right with your finances.
It was a $25 check and they tried to do it for like $2,000.
2,500.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I don't know if the mic will reach, but you had a comment?
That's all right, yes. How did the post office determine that?
Yeah, how did they catch it, do you know?
So in North Carolina, the post office picked it. Oh, no, she went to the bank to try to cash it.
And the perpetrator did.
And the bank said something was funny with it, and they picked that up.
So that's what we see oftentimes. What will happen is it's fairly organized. It's not just, Joe Schmo doing this. It's usually a pretty organized operation, and what they'll do is they'll send some low-level person in the organization into the bank to cash the check, to kind of test the waters, to see if the bank is gonna, be fooled. And so we do make arrests in those cases when that happens, when they're trying to pass a fraudulent check. And we oftentimes try to see if they'll cooperate to give the people that are running the organization, and they will often not cooperate. So they'll take their prosecution for a felony 3 and not identify the higher ups in the organization. So it is a legitimate concern. The good news is there's a couple of simple things that you can do to prevent it from happening to you. There's a comment, and then I'll, you might.
No, I've heard that if you use a gel pen.
You got it. See, this is what I love. I love
And
that.
that word's getting out there, that the gel pen really helps. It absorbs, if you write with the gel pen, it absorbs into the paperwork, which is much harder for them to wash off. So we have gel pens up here for giveaways. Please use a gel pen if you're gonna write a check or do something like that. If I could also say, one of the things that I do think, my observation, We went through years of telephone scams. We still have them, internet scams. But people are now a lot more savvy of these scams. When you get a call, your consumer antennas go up and say, is this a scam? That didn't happen so much 5, 10 years ago. And congratulations to you guys for knowing it's a scam nowadays. But that's forcing the scam artists to go back to old school, like check washing and stealing from mailboxes, because they're not as successful on the telephone scams.
Mike is so right, and so there's another comment in the back.
I have a question. You're saying that they'll take the punishment? What is the punishment?
So if that's a great.
How many of them really get punished?
Well, that's a great point, and that's where, you know, if we have some influence, we have to convince our legislators to have stiffer penalties, because you know what? Oftentimes, there's a cost of doing business calculus that the organized criminals kind of factor in, and if they say, okay, so you're prosecuted, you don't have a prior record, you get a felony 3, you'll probably get probation, we'll have paid for your attorney, and you'll be on probation and just stay clean for that time frame, and you'll be back in it and at it again. But they buffer themselves, the higher ups are buffered. So I'll tell you what, if there's penalties that are stiffer and they're facing jail time, that low level person, they're more likely to cooperate and give up their higher ups. So that is part of the problem. I mean, we do need to have stiffer penalties. I can assure you, we prosecute them to the fullest, and we try to work to get them, we try to incentivize cooperation to get the bigger fish. We do, but it's hard. One way to incentivize it though is like facing jail. Yeah, there's another comment?
Oh, I think she's going for a pen over there.
We're out of pens, and so Mike, you might need to send some here.
Uh-oh, okay.
Do you have a
Well, there's
comment?
some different ones here. The gel pen
Do
has
you want the mic, or do you think you can bring?
I gotta look at it. I don't have my glasses. I'll come back and look at that one in a second. But we have a mixture of pens today. But we'll make sure, the ones that say Bucks County Consumer Protection on them are the gel pens. That's the easier to do.
Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this moment. I just want to say, you talking about that way, but how about these Walmart cards? If you're a frequent shopper, they give you $500. You just got to push it in there.
Yes.
Sign up. Well, it cost me $119. I'm the only people who get $1. Thank God for my bank, because they jumped right in on it. And then how they did it, they got the $119, but then they wanted to try to make sure they could still get the money. They charged us at $9.95. But my bank was right on it. He said, nobody gives you $500 gift card.
Right, so do you want to, so how did that happen again? Did you get
I got a Walmart thing said
an email or?
an email, right? And it says push the button and it costs $500 and you get one card for $500 you can spend in Walmart for $1. So I did that. And I was hesitant to use my ATM card, but I said, well, $1, that's okay, you know. So yeah, it was $119.
Yes, so did everybody hear that? There's a scam where they try to make it sound like you have this great opportunity. You'll get a $500 gift card, click this, and all you have to pay is this minimal amount. And obviously, it is a scam. If it's too good to be true, you know that do your homework. It's probably too good to be true. As mentioned, I've fallen prey to that, and we've talked about using credit cards. At least you're a little bit protected. But the Walmart gift card scam is a big one. Gift card scams are big ones. How about, did anybody receive text from UPS or FedEx saying their package? I was so close to clicking the information they wanted, realizing because every day our lives are busy. I spend so much time buying online things, as does my husband, as does my teen son now. So sometimes you think, oh, maybe that's that package, and you forget, and you're about 2 seconds away from providing the information they're seeking, and it is a scam. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I just need to update, the latest scam attached to that is, people are getting emails recently saying your Easy Pass, if you have an Easy Pass, needs renewal, it's running low on funds, you need to submit $12 or you're gonna face a fine. And many people that have Easy Pass, like myself, if didn't get it, but I saw, if I got that email, I'd be like, holy smokes, let me update my Easy Pass. It's a good one, and it's the same thing as the UPS scam.
That is a brilliant, brilliant scam, because I can guarantee I would fall prey to that, because who looks at their Easy Pass
Right.
regularly? It's something you only look at when you get an email, your balance is low. So that is a very good piece of information. You had a comment or a question?
I do have a comment. I think that people are becoming smart in this scam thing, but so are the scammers.
Yes.
Now, they're spoofing us from banks.
Yes.
They're texting you or they're emailing that you've just been compromised. Now we need this. They're actually taking advantage of everybody learning this scam.
Excellent point from our friend over here. I'll repeat it so everybody can hear. We are getting smart, but you said the scammers are too getting smarter. And so now the newest scam is to kind of portray yourself as a victim of a scam, and that you've been compromised. You have to do this, that, and the other thing, and to protect yourself because your account has been compromised. Here's the scammer acting like they're trying to identify a scam. So you give the information, and your information now is in the hands of a criminal who's going to exploit you financially. And you also talked about spoofing. You said spoofing your bank. A couple things, and I don't want to, again, the experts are going to talk about this. First of all, there is, and it's been ongoing for a number of years, where they make it look like an email is authentic. There's some unique things you can look at to see at the end if it's like not a .com or a .org. It's oftentimes a very concerning, this is not a legitimate email address in the US, so disregard. But so we'll get to spoofing voices and spoofing some other details, but hang up the phone if you get an email like that and physically call your bank. Call a landline to your bank and speak to a bank manager. What I love is so many of these things that Mike and the fellow panelists do, we're doing with banking individuals who are in the industry, and they are working with us to help protect all of you. So as much as we learn and go to trainings on these issues, so are the banking individuals. So that is a very real concern. If you get information about your bank being compromised, don't do anything online, pick up the phone and call.
Verify. That's
Yeah.
just always, whenever you get anything now, verify through another source.
Yeah.
So what about the AI when they can use your voice?
Yeah, I love it. You guys are so smart. AI, when they're using your voice, that is does everybody know what we're talking about when we say AI? Okay, it's artificial intelligence. And what they're doing is they're taking excerpts of your voice, and they're doing whatever they do, recording, to make it sound like my actual voice, or my husband's actual voice, or your child or your grandchild's actual voice. And they'll use that to convince you that whatever they're seeking is legitimate. To the scam that our sheriff spoke about, Sheriff Harran, with the grandchild scam, that is a real thing. Your grandchild's getting arrested, you need to pay quick, gift cards, go buy gift cards, and they'll have you say, put my grandchild on the phone, and they'll have someone that may sound like your grandchild now with technology, or someone you love. It's frightening. But again, what I would say in that scenario is hang up, or if it's a call, if it's online, call your local police first, because I can guarantee you, if Bristol Township heard of one, they're going to hear of countless others, and they're going to tell you this is a scam. Do not do anything. Anytime they're asking for payment via gift card, anytime they're asking for that, that is a warning. That is a red flag. So be cautious. Mm-hmm.
My sister was a victim of the scam where they called and they asked for a credit card. And what they did was they threw her off balance by opening up with, such and such from your bank. And someone just tried to take $15,000 from your account. Well, then that's all she saw.
Yes.
And I was right there, and she didn't ask me. She asked me to take her up to Acme to get 4 gift cards. And I said to her, and the whole time, the woman was on her cell phone with my sister. And my sister's holding her cell phone up, she's going, they're still on the line.
Yes.
And I said, are you sure this is legitimate? Yes. And she lost $2,000.
Oh, that breaks my heart. That is exactly what we're seeing.
And I would have been prone to that, but for my sister to fall victim to that was shocking.
Yes, and that again proves my point. It can happen to any of us, so you just have to be aware. And this is, you're gonna be leaps and bounds above everybody else by having attended this. Just to know, anytime someone's staying on the phone as they direct you to go somewhere to secure funds to pay for whatever they're saying you owe, that is not legitimate. Yes.
As a matter of fact, it didn't occur to her till after she gave them the information from the gift cards and then asked her to go to Giant and get 4 more cards.
Yes, yeah, it is so sad. It literally makes me, I mean, I to this day still get so upset when I hear crimes like these because you work so hard and you might be financially, you know, you're on a fixed income because you're retired or whatever your circumstance, you might be helping loved ones. And so you worked hard for that money. It is disgusting to know that these people will exploit. And I will tell you this, just so you all know, the population that falls prey to scams the most, who do you think?
Millennials.
Someone said millennials. It's the young, it's Gen Z now, I think, because they're getting a little older. It's the younger people. It's the younger people. So you all should be proud, because I can tell you, about 21-year-olds aren't in a room trying to gather information about how to be safe, and they're falling prey often than not. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues because they're great at what they do, but it's been a pleasure. Oh, you got a point?
Yes, I'd like to ask, since there's so much scams like with your utilities place,
Yes, utilities is a big
why
one.
don't they open up offices so we can go and pay it first?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Between utilities and cable companies, trust me, I agree with you. That is, you know, you hope the industries start to wise up and find ways to protect their customers. I agree. Yeah, utility scam. Thank you for bringing that up. I'll touch on that really quickly. It is disgusting what they do. They make you feel like they're going to cut your power, and oftentimes it's in the dead of winter or the middle of summer. You're going to cut your power. You're failing to pay, and that high pressure you must do. You must act. You must act quick. And again, to your point, like that's all you see. You don't see reason anymore because they create that situation. So that's where you just take a step back. I can guarantee you that if utility companies operated that way and just blindly cut off people's power, they would be sued and they would go bankrupt. So, you know, we might not always like, you know, the certain companies we're dealing with, but that is not how they operate. And there's tiers to the approach if you're in arrears. So they're never going to just go cold and cut off your energy. Yeah.
Did you cover subcontractors showing up at your?
Oh, yes. Well, is anybody else covering that? Because I don't want to steal it. Mike, do you want to cover that, or do you want me to touch on that?
Go.
Great point. And we see them in waves, and oftentimes regions, pockets in the county, where you'll have crews come out and want to repave your driveway, or say they're going to redo your fencing, and they'll take a deposit, and they'll never show up again. And they're dealing in volume, and they're transient. So they're hoping that by the time word gets out, they're out of Dodge. So that's a hard one. You know, it is literally made when we have projects in our home, given what my husband and I do for a living. I mean, it takes a lot for us to pull the trigger because, you know, sadly we see so many scammers. So you can call your office, right?
If I could say, this is a great one. We have a brochure here about how to hire a home improvement contractor. We've got lots of great contractors that work here in Bucks County in Pennsylvania that do good work. Finding the right contractor is the trick. the Bucks County Consumer Protection, my department, can help you. We have people that will help you vet the contractor. You can call us and say, I'm thinking of hiring ABC Construction to do a roof. We will make sure they're registered with the state, which means they have insurance. We will look for complaints to make sure that they don't have complaints in our database or others. So you've got protection. And the other thing is we have my department has a terrific relationship with the district attorney's office on home improvement contractor fraud. We've had a lot of those cases that you probably see in the newspapers and around that are bad. That's because Jen's office takes them on pretty aggressively. Not that it's not a problem, but we have a system. Call our office if you're first, before you're gonna do home improvement contractor. I'll send you this book. You can pull it off our webpage. It tells you how to find the right ones.
It's so great. I mean, truly, we're like the bookends. Mike is the expert at preventing it and also providing knowledge if you think you've been a victim. And then I have one particular colleague, Mark Ferber, who does our economic crimes, financial crimes, who works so closely with the teams here, and that's key. That's where we do it right in Bucks. It's the communication, knowing your various experts, because you cannot do it alone. And then we'll go through the system, but we have gotten great results in some of those cases.
And I think it's on the PA Attorney General's website, you can check the contract.
Yes.
Yes, you're so right. Great point.
Bonnie is always good. The
Yeah.
HI home improvement contractor number is on the website. That absolutely needs to be checked before you hire a contractor. You know that they've submitted insurance to the state and they're legitimate. They're supposed to not have a criminal record to get that license. So it's definitely a thing to do.
And so at the end of the day, I mean, this is my final parting words. We have done some of these and we talk about the scams. We talk about where people feel afraid to live their life. And you feel like, well, I'm not going to do anything now. We don't want that to be the message. We want you to find a balance. You know, be equipped with the knowledge to try to reduce the likelihood, but live your life knowing that if and when it happens, hopefully you'll catch it. And if you didn't, you'll report it, and the police and the prosecutor's office, we will do our job to go after the perpetrator, because you have to live your life. We don't want you to be fearful, but we want you to be aware. So if there are any additional questions, I'm happy to stay. I'm going to pass the mic to my colleagues, but it's a pleasure meeting all of you.
Real quick, if there's anybody that misses anything, we're gonna be posting this to our YouTube, so you'll be able to go back and look if there's something missed.
Hi, everybody. Great conversation, great information. I'm Kathy Bennett. I'm the director of the Bucks County Area Agency on Aging. I know you guys. I know Bonnie. So it's great to have you here, and it's a great crowd, so thank you for coming. I just want to let you know who we all are, as a matter of fact. Why are we here together and what we do? We are part of the Bucks County Crimes Against Older Adults Task Force. We have been a task force for about 22 years now. And so every member that is here is part of that task force. We meet regularly and we talk about cases that come up. We talk all the time about, here's the latest scam that we see. We were just talking this week when we had a meeting about trying to start some kind of a centralized website area for all those scams that come up like this, because they are coming up so quickly. So it's a sort of a repository for that, so people can take a look and see those things. So I just want to interrupt and tell you about that. Also, I have a bunch of materials over there on our area agency on aging services, but I'm sure some of you guys know about that, but we're happy to share any information. So I am going to give it to Liam, who is from NOVA.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, sorry. My voice might crack because I've been yelling at the TV last night for the 76ers and they were up. So I apologize. It's a difficult time for me as a 76ers fan. But as Kathy said, and as Mike said earlier, I'm here with NOVA, Network of Victim Assistance. So what does NOVA do? We help those in Bucks County residents who have been affected by crime. We do this in a wide range of services. We offer counseling, we also offer forensic exams, and we also offer victim advocacy. And this is all in this beautiful pamphlet that is brand new, and I have to push it from NOVA. But I specifically am the elder abuse victim advocate. So what do? Well, I hope we never meet, first off. And you never have to talk to me. Sorry to say that, but I hope we don't ever meet. I'm also known as the scam guy. So what happens when you get scammed is, well, first things first, always make a police report. That is the first thing you should do, is make a police report. Make sure that it's on record that you were a victim of fraud, slash scam. And then call the hotline number that we have here on these beautiful brochures, and you'll be put in touch with me. And I will work with you either to navigate you through the criminal justice system of the district attorney's office, or I will help you with victim compensation. And what is victim compensation? Victim compensation is a state-run program here in Pennsylvania, which is great, because not all states have this. Victim compensation will get you some money back that you lost. You're never going to get made whole. I know I have to tell people that. They expect they're going to get, the $100,000 that they lost. That's just not going to happen. Usually with victim compensation is you get back your 1 month of your pension or your Social Security. So it could be $2,000, it could be $1,500, it could be $3,000. But you're never going to get back the whole, say, $60,000 that you lost. And another thing, when I see scams, I see them all, and they do surprise me, especially the newer ones coming out. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the scams. The biggest one that we see that loses a lot of money is here in Bucks County is the computer scam, where your computer has been infected by a virus and it's going off. You're hearing all the sounds and it says, please call this number. Don't call the number. Do not call that number. Just turn off your computer. Take it to the local Best Buy. I think it's, the Geek Squad or something like that? Yes, take it to them. Physically take it to them. But never call the number. So what happens is when you call the number, I'm going to tell you exactly how this scam works. Because I've seen it multiple times, and I've seen people lose $50,000, $100,000, and then sometimes even $250,000. So you call the number, they say, oh, okay, we'll fix this. And you know what we're going to do? We're also going to give you a lifetime protection of antivirus software for $100. Right? Sounds like a great deal. You'll have lifetime virus protection for $100. Okay, just give us your debit card number, and we'll hook it up. So you give them the number, and they go, oops, I made a mistake. I accidentally put $10,000 into your bank account. You're going to have to go to the bank and get that back. Because I can lose my job. I also have a family. I have 3 kids to support. Could you please do that? I can't lose my job. So you'll go to the bank and you'll wire them the money back, or you'll give them all your information to get the money out. Do not do this. But that's how it works. They're gonna get your numbers for your bank account and then clean your whole bank account out. It's horrible. Like I've said earlier, I've seen people lose $50,000. I've seen people lose $150,000, and the most I've ever seen was $253,000, I think it was. So it's bad. That's the big one I see in Bucks County is the computer. So if you ever see that virus, don't call that number, and don't ever, anyway reach them by email or anything like that. Don't contact them. Turn off your computer and go to Geek Squad. The second biggest one we see in Bucks County, of course, is the text message ones. I believe Jen touched on that earlier. Don't ever click the link in a text message. That's a big thing. That's a big no-no. IRS is not texting you. They're definitely not texting you. They'll use the postal service to, reach you. Walmart is definitely not texting you. And sometimes your bank is not always going to text you. If this ever happens with your bank, go to the physical location of the bank. Never click or call the number that they provide. Call the number on the back of your credit card. Call the number on the back of your bank card, or go to their physical location. Next we see is, I would have to say, is we're coming up on it, is contractor fraud. That is a big one. I've seen people lose a lot of money on that. The biggest advice I can give you for contractor fraud is never pay the full amount up front. Never pay that. I've seen people do that, and they've lost tens of thousands of dollars, and that pamphlet right there is a great resource right there.
Tells you that the law requires you only put down a third for deposit. That's actually what the law says. So a lot of times they ask for 50% as a deposit. That's illegitimate.
Yep, don't do 50% either. I've seen that a lot as well, 50%. These contractors should have the funds to pay for the supplies and everything else. You shouldn't have to foot the whole bill until the very end, until it's completed. And always be on top of the contractor. If you're getting work done, don't just let it go. Oh, I'm gonna get it done in 2 weeks, and then that 2 weeks turns into a month. That month turns into 6 months. Be on top of them constantly. And the next one I will have to say is, oh, this is a big one, and this is surprising. The Publishers Clearinghouse scam. I know a lot of people know that, and they come to your house, they're gonna give you this big check. I'm still waiting for mine, so is Mike. But nowadays they will email you and say you won, the Publishers Clearinghouse. All you have to do is pay taxes. That's how they get you. You have to pay $168,000 in taxes, and we'll give you $300 million. No. If I'm winning $300 million, take the taxes out of that, and then give me the money. No. Exactly. So never answer them kind of emails or any kind of phone call like that. I want to see Publishers Clearinghouse show up at my house in the big check. But I've seen people actually respond to the email and actually send the money to these people. I have to pay the taxes. And yes, we live in the United States, we have to pay taxes. But these are scams. You don't have to pay taxes on that kind of money until you get the money and it's afterwards. So do not pay taxes up front, and it's 99.9% it's going to be a scam. So, and then what I like to say though when it comes to scams is when in doubt, check it out. And here in Bucks County we have a ton of resources for you to check it out when you are in doubt. So please use these resources. Okay, I can't stress that enough. And again, I hope we never talk and we never ever meet again.
Hope you never see him
yes.
again.
But again, I'm from NOVA, and we have some beautiful brochures that they want me to push. So please take one, and you can read about all our services. And I will pass the mic off to Dakota from Senior Law.
We got exactly here though, but.
Hello everyone, I'm Dakota. I'm a senior legal advocate at the Senior Law Center. So in Bucks County, you have and if you are a victim of scams or a victim of an elder abuse type crime, you can get free representation from Senior Law Center and other legal organizations such as Legal Aid of Southeastern Pennsylvania. But Senior Law Center, we only work with those 60 and above, and services that we commonly offer, and the need is often in scams. So this, again, what Liam just covered, I agree, right? These are the major scams that are the most common to see. In general, we say, if you don't know the number, don't pick it up. Let them leave a message. In general, we say, go to brick and mortar stores if you need to confirm and verify something. These scams, they play on your emotions, whether it be, yes, I got $1 million from Publishers Clearinghouse, whether it be fear of, all my money has disappeared, or they made a mistake where they took out or gave me an extra $10,000, or fear of, honestly, your computer has been found with child pornography on it. When it plays on your emotions, that too is a red flag, and you always have time to call someone to go to the store, to discuss it with someone else. They're going to pressure you to take care of it right then and now. But no, you can get off the phone. You can just think to call someone that you trust for a second opinion. Okay. Now, we also deal with power of attorney abuse too, so it's not just unknown scammers, unfortunately, that can take money from you. It can be the ones that you trust the most, your family members, your kids, your grandchildren. It can be family members, and that often it hurts the most. And because you trust them and love them, right? They have access to your funds. So if that is a concern of yours, give us a call. I have my number and our number to the organization right there. We also deal with, we help represent in protection from abuse orders. Now that's when you've been physically abused or have been threatened with abuse from someone close to you, a family member, an intimate family member. And in Bucks County, right, no one should have to live with that ever anywhere. But you can give us a call and we can see what we can do for you. In general, we deal with home repair scams. I also help with victim compensation assistance claims, as does Liam Crowley from NOVA. But if you have been scammed, know that we see it all the time. It can happen to anyone. It does happen to anyone, young, old, anyone. And file a police report and give us a call. So we also, the last thing I'll mention is that we also have a statewide helpline. So if you have any miscellaneous legal question about bankruptcy, about utilities, about really anything, you can speak to an attorney for advice. And you can get that for free by calling our number here. So.
I think that's a great service that senior law provides. We've been around, at least in Bucks County, for about 3 years now.
We've been around specifically with direct representation in Bucks County for about 4 years.
4 years, and you just have to be a senior to get free legal help and advice. It's not like legal aid where you have to qualify. I don't think.
No, any income.
Any income. If you're a senior, you can get advice from these folks. It's a great service that we've never had, at least I've never known before, until the past 3 or 4 years that they're here, and they do great work, in particular to handle some of the things that are not the immediate criminal things, but more like the civil things that happen.
Yes.
Too, so they do great work. So thank you, Dakota, for doing the presentation today on behalf of senior law. I want to thank everybody. We're closing up here on what it is. I just want to touch. There were some things that in the essence of time, we get there's lots of complaints in consumer protection about dental work. Dental complaints have really risen a lot lately, cost, expense, and it's become very complicated. But I have brochures up here, or a handout, for the Pennsylvania Board of Dentistry that takes complaints against dentists, just so you know that. I'm getting unusual now. So they take complaints against dentists. The other thing I have here is helpful contacts to stop scammers. I have tips on here. If you get scam text messages, you can report it. If you can sign up for a free website called Nomo Robo that helps eliminate some of those scam calls that come through. So these things can be helpful for you. I want to thank you all for coming today. Hopefully you got some good information. We'll be answering questions afterwards if you want to come on up. Thank you, everybody.